Hi, today I'm reviewing this book, A Murder in Paris, by Matthew Blake. Wow. This book is something else. I really enjoyed this book. And what goes on here when a woman in England, kind of a middle class woman who is, just a basic middle class woman in England, finds out that her wealthy grandmother is confessing to a murder in Paris underneath a portrait that might be a picture of her, I don't know. It's all very interesting and mysterious. They say, yeah, your grandmother is here doing this crazy stuff, and the police are here, so we need you. And she's having to deal with taking her kid to school, all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so it was a really good setup. It was a really good story, and whoa, what a twist! Wish I had seen that one coming. Nice job, Matthew Blake. So many names get thrown in now and then, and it's like, okay, this person is, oh yeah, okay, that guy, and this person is, okay, yeah. It's wonderful stuff with identity, politics, commentary on what men get versus what women get in terms of recognition. Oh, it's just fabulous stuff. Fabulous in so many ways. And I highly recommend this book. It's wonderful. Okay, so I spent my day off from the internet yesterday finishing that book actually, and doing some cleaning around my office. And look what I came up with. It is a copy of a page that I chose for some reason to tear out and save. This is from the Daily Record. The Daily Record is the publication that all lawyers would subscribe to in Maryland. This is from back in the day. This is dated. It is dated Friday, August 28th, I think. My glasses are not great at picking up these little tiny print. 2009. This is from 2009. For some reason, this seemed important. Look at this. Oh, these Maryland incubators look to grow entrepreneurs. Maryland Technology Development Corporation. Yes, technology development. We've been very involved in that, it would seem. And I remember writing about biotech. I did a whole thing on biotech for somebody. I don't remember who it was now. I don't remember a lot about it. I just remember the guy was very interesting, and that biotech was one of these areas in which experimentation can either result in like nothing or an incredible breakthrough. So there's a huge risk going into this. And I was just taken with how willing people were to take those risks. I was kind of blown away by the ability to simply take a risk like that and kind of trust that something will work out for you, which is basically what screenwriting ends up being. You take a risk, you put your work out there. It's all about any writing in general. You take a risk anytime you put yourself out there, because somebody out there is bound to criticize you, etc., etc. Anyway, having said that, I thought I flipped this over and accidentally found this. Check that quote out, if you will, if you can read that. I will read it for you. At this stage, the company needs to burn through money as slowly as possible, since borrowing more in the current economy will be difficult, he noted. This is 2009. Singh has worked for others, and he has worked for himself, and he prefers working for himself. Yes, but he notes that being an entrepreneur means never checking out. His wife is supportive, he said, but she'll be the first to tell you there are nights when I'm only sleeping a few hours. The daydream that starting a business means being free from the demands of the boss are not realistic, he said, because every client is a boss, whether that client is yourself, your readers, or whatever. There is no shutting off. There's nobody to shift the blame to, he noted. He also pointed out that financial rewards, while potentially limitless, can be far in the future or always out of reach. I think for me, in my own personality, I just like building my own thing. Though starting a business is perhaps more challenging than ever, 2009, Singh said he meets many people who cling to the old way of doing things, first coming up with an idea, then raising money, then building, and at the very end of the process, looking for customers. I think a lot of entrepreneurs try to build something and then try to go find customers for it, he said. It's more, here's the quote that they highlighted. It's more about finding new customers first. It's more about, let me get that quote right. It's more about finding customers first and building something around them. That's the secret. Find the customers, build something around them. How do you do that as a fiction author or a screenwriter? Well, we end up forming book clubs. We talk about writing. We form writing clubs. We talk about writing. We talk about reading and writing. We talk about media. We talk about movies. We talk about stories. Stories are stories are stories. We can all tell stories. But will not necessarily be a deciding factor. And that is just the fact of it, of life sometimes. Oh yeah, I read a little bit more of this, which is awesome. And then I somehow managed to find this older sort of book, and it's not old. It's just like, how did I miss this one? I started reading it, and now probably will keep Queen of Diamonds by B.Z. Marsh. B.Z., hey, nice job, nice beginning. I really am digging that old English little urchin picked up by the artist thing you got me drawn in by. Yeah, what the heck's going on with that? Something not too horrible, I hope. Well, we'll see. But yeah, poor kid. So that's it. Really, it was just like a review and an update on cleaning my room and the interesting things I find, and how interesting that the idea of starting with maybe you look for what people need and then you provide it, and there's your service or your good. If I write a book about how to produce a podcast, maybe that would be a good thing. If I do a class on it, maybe that would be a good thing. I don't know. I'm still thinking about a lot of things, believe me. I do so much thinking it's bad for me, I think. That's why I stay off the internet 1 day a week. Less thinking, more pondering, if you will. Taking a moment. All right, then. I'll be seeing you, as Patrick used to say. Good old Patrick McGowan. Someday I'll do a whole thing about The Prisoner. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. Be seeing you. Take care.